Welcome to the online studio of Pilates Care. I'm so happy you're here with me today because I have a stretch that is going to feel phenomenal for you. This is a stretch I think most of us need. We don't get enough. And I hope you love it as much as I do. So we're using the reformer and a sitting box today. I am on a Balanced Body Studio reformer and I have one red spring on. So you want a spring if you're on a different apparatus that is light enough to move but heavy enough to support you. So you don't want it to be so light that you just slide out, but you don't want it to be so heavy you can't push out. So kind of figure out what that is for you. And then you'll notice I already have my box. It is flush up next to my reformer and it's not all the way to the end. I've got it down almost in line with the end of my carriage because I like to be a little bit closer to this end of the box. So I need to make sure that the box is stable, that I'm not standing right on the edge. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start standing on top of the box. And my head's cut off for a second, but you can see I'm standing a little bit closer to the headrest and the shoulder block side. And I'm gonna start to bend my knees and take my hand down to the foot bar. And then my foot is gonna come up to the shoulder block. And then notice I'm rotated here. We're gonna get nice and square. So I want you to pull this bottom hip forward, roll this top rib and shoulder back. My bottom leg is straight. My front leg, the one I'm standing on, is bent. Parallel or Pilates V. Where do you feel best? All right, I'm gonna think push down. So I'm gonna think I'm going down with my hips. And because I am going down, the carriage is moving out, but my energy, my hips are going down. It puts us in a nice lateral flexion here. And I'm using this hand for support, obviously. I like to stay really upright and lift it up into my head. I a lot of times take this hand here and push to the hip a little bit because that helps me deepen. We're gonna hold this for another breath or two. If it doesn't feel good, come out of it sooner. And then I'm just gonna go up a little bit and down. Up a little bit and down. And every time I go down, I try to go just a little bit further if my body is ready for it. If my body's not ready for it, don't do it. All right, last time here. Hold if it feels good. And now I'm getting a great stretch here, especially if I push a little bit and my bottom hip. And then we're gonna come in, make sure your carriage closes off before you step forward. All right, we're gonna take a quarter turn and we're gonna come to a kneeling position on the carriage. I want you to really work on getting your toes under and your heel back. So we're in a really nice flexion of the toe there. Hips are square and even. We're gonna push back and pull under. Push back and pull under. You're getting a nice hip flexor stretch there. As you push back and pull under, you could reach the arms over the head if you want. Whatever feels good. We've got two more. And then last one, I want you to push back and pause. Hinge forward, find the foot bar, continue pushing. Think of dropping your thigh bone here down to the mat. Think of pushing this sits bone and tailbone back. So that hip doesn't hike up, but you're pushing it back. You're creating length in the spine. You're trying to get lower into both legs. Holding here for one more breath. We're gonna come all the way in and back upright. We're gonna step off the box and do the same thing on the other side. So carefully, you're gonna step off. And I'm gonna move my box over to the other side. Hopefully it's gonna be helpful for some of you to see the back side. I apologize that you have to see my back side, but hopefully it'll be helpful. All right, so we're standing a little closer to the shoulder block side. Find your foot bar, take your foot to the shoulder block, bend the front knee, and find your square hips. Find your square shoulders. Once you have that into place, we're gonna think of going down. And because we go down, the carriage moves out. When you find your spot, we're gonna hold there. As you're going down with the hip, could you think someone is pulling you higher from the crown of the head. So you're pushed off this shoulder. You're not slumped down into it. You're pushed off. This bottom armpit is really working. We're going to hold here for maybe 2 more breaths. And then we're going to push down and then lift. And push down and then lift. Last 3. Every time I'm trying to go down a little bit more. And I am thinking of pushing that bottom hip forward because it definitely wants to rotate back on this one. On this last one coming up, I'm going to push and hold. And then come all the way up. When I have the carriage fully closed off, is when I will step to the back and stand. Taking a quarter turn, I'm going to come down to my knees. Make sure, again, try to get your toe down, pinky toe and heel. And then knee comes down. Front leg comes up near the front edge of the box, and we are going to lift the chest. So you're in a straight line from ear to shoulder to rib to hip to knee. Hands can go wherever they feel best for you. Hands to the hips is a great way to start to make sure you're not moving around at the pelvis a whole lot. And then your hips are even in height and in rotation. Let's do 3 more of these. It is such a lovely stretch for the front of that leg, but this leg is kind of working. Last 2. You can have arms up over the head if that feels better for you. Now, I want you to push out and pause. And then we're going to take our hands to the foot bar to push out further. You can see much better on this side how I am in a diagonal from the head to the shoulder to the hip to the knee. So I'm not back bend, right? Can you see that difference? Diagonal. I'm going to adjust my box foot here a little bit. So I want to create a little more space for that front hip. And then just breathe. And we're going to come all the way in. And then step off of your box. I hope you enjoyed this quick stretch. It is perfect to add on to the end of your workout. Helps release the front of the hips and hip flexors, and then also our hip abductors, the side of the hips, the lateral hip. As always, thank you for being here in the online studio of Pilates Cure. I am Andrea Nichols, and I will see you soon.